Good afternoon, everybody here. The CS, my name is Eric Ambuche from Embakasi South, and I'm an environment enthusiast. And first, I have to thank NMG for this function, and seeing the CS, though I was not here in the morning, but I hear there was a CS Miano, and right now we have CS Chirchir transport. This shows how they value your cause. Mine, without much ado, let me just use this platform. My question was to be read yesterday, but because the CS is here, I'll just congratulate him for coming here. Then I did share what happened yesterday on my status, and the people of Embakasi told me that send this message to those attending, that, or the panelists, that their words, their terms that they are using, and it is making them think like environment and climate action or change are two different things. Let me use this platform kindly to, let me then sit. Then let me do, before I sit, Bwana CS, watu wa Butere wamenituma tafadhali, kuna barabara inatoka Lunza to Ikolomani. Tafadhali haipitiki, na kuomba, natumia fursa hii kuomba Bwana CS. Bwana CS, barua ndio hii.
Umeleta barua, thank you very much. Did you even ask the question kweli? Hakuna question hapo. Okay, sawa. A lady. I'm looking for a lady. Okay, sawa. Very briefly, okay? Usitume salamu. We're out of time and Bwana CS has to go somewhere, right? So your name and your question. Yes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Akira Jepkemoi, Mr. and Miss Climate Kenya. A quick question to the CS. I'm sorry. I want to use the opportunity because you have them as the government. You have Madam Nasra. You've talked about local innovations, and that is great. I'm just thinking, since Waziri was just recently in energy, and my passion is there a bit, could we have a system of integrating solar energy into the grid so that we can enable our people who have solar to do that? Because right now, we are working towards last mile connectivity, but still we have a lot of challenges. We have to appreciate that we can use solar because this is the heart of the tropic area. So we are in the equator and we have a lot of solar. We can have our people even earning from it, and we can innovate around it. I have a very ambitious friend who told me he's going to create diesel from maize stalks, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. So let's encourage those kind of innovations to come through. And Bwana Waziri, I would like you to help me with that. Thank you.
You people, you don't even have questions. Bwana CS, I want to say, you seriously have a question? Okay, straight to the point, all right?
My name is Nevi. A question to the CS. Given the urgent need to combat climate change and reduce carbon emissions, what steps is your ministry considering to increase taxes on diesel and petroleum vehicles while reducing taxes on electric vehicles to motivate greener transportation options and support Kenya environmental sustainability goals? Yes.
Simple instructions. Question straight to the point. Okay, I'm just gonna come to you again. You have a question or a comment? Okay.
Yes, the Kaufman protocols represented here, and everybody here who is a leader, a representative of Kenyan government, and everybody else here. I'm honored to be here. Have been sent by my senior Hassan Lakija. From Hassan Lakija and Company Law Advocates. Yeah, so my name is Nehama Rotich, LLB. I am a lawyer. And one of my questions that I would like to address is based first on what was addressed by Daily Nation Media, 13 September, page number 10, which was calling for memoranda on additional budgetary allocation on matters of climate change. And one of my questions goes to the cabinet secretary together with other parties of the government, that if there are specific approaches in which this additional budgetary allocation will be to. Because one of the things that I have seen is when we say that the problem is climate finance, then the question is, where do we apply the finances? How do we apply the finances? Are there specific procedures that are being followed? And the National Drought Authority on 23 ASL counties, one of the TAPL report 2024 and 2023 says that over 1 million people are still suffering because of the drought in the 23 counties. And the same has not been addressed from 2023 until now. So are there priorities and are there ways in which specifically the same can be addressed? Thank you so much.
So that was a question for the CS and also to the other panelists, right? Okay, Bona CS, do you want to answer the first two? Because there are only two questions. Then I'll cross over to the other side. Okay?
Can I add you a third one, Waziri? Maybe you could also tell us when we should start riding our bicycles on the streets, because the roads are not non-motorized transport friendly.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you for the questions, and I think I would have taken the cue from Eric Ambunje and be that optimistic, because at least he's given a piece of small memoranda, and I'll be looking at that. One of my assistants is already looking at that road. The question from Kauai on integrating solar to the grid to basically accelerate the green energy mix from solar so that we can achieve our target of more renewable on the grid, and possibly have that achieve the 2030 vision or target shortly. Kauai, wait, who was Kauai? Yeah, there you are. There are regulations under the 2019 Energy Act. There were several regulations that would be published by the EPRA, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, to support some of the targeted areas that will accelerate the renewable energy generation. And one of them is the net metering. I'm sure you understand the net metering is where when you install a solar panel or you do wind generation or you do hydro, if you can do hydro within your own facility, you can use so much of that energy that is required to run your home state or your small industry, and the balance energy to make your project bankable, because power generation is expensive, and that's why we do a lot of PPP. The extra energy that you generate, you can feed to the grid. It's like you are selling it to the grid. And at night when the solar is not running, you can then draw back the power from the grid. So the regulations for net metering, I think, are basically in place as we speak today. I don't know whether they have been gazetted, but that is something that will be actualized shortly. And that is going to allow power generators up to, I think, 1,000 kilowatts, one megawatt, to be able to feed into the grid under a net metering framework, and therefore draw power back from the grid under arrangements through EPRA and with the off-taker Kenya Power and Lighting Company. So that is a reality today, and we should be able to get all our roofs having solar in a more economical way, so that when you're not using, you're selling it to the grid, and when you need power, you can then tap in and use that power. Navy, yes, thank you for the question on carbon emission and tax on diesel to accelerate e-mobility. You will note that as we move to e-mobility as a country, we'll possibly have to put more taxes on on e-energy because it is so cheap. Today, when we generate power on solar, wind, and geothermal, we feed into the grid at 7 cents US. 7 cents US, if you convert at 130, is about 10 shillings, 10, 11 shillings. When we generate power on diesel for picking, we generate at 25 cents US. At 130 to the dollar, 25 cents will give you, what is that figure, Mike? About 30 shillings. So you are comparing power generation to run your car using diesel at 30 shillings compared to running your car using solar, wind, or geothermal energy at 10 shillings. In fact, we are asking ourselves in the policy coming out how we do the road maintenance levy tax so that we can take it to 12, 13, 14 shillings. It will still be cheaper by 50%. And then certainly the policy that will be coming out in due course will be taken through public participation as it goes through Parliament. We'll have opportunity to inform how we can improve that policy and so that we can quickly accelerate the e-mobility space and ensure that we reduce the use of fossil fuels. Nehemiah Rotich? Nehemiah Rotich. You don't sound like you come from my community. I love to work very hard to catch up. We're doing so much, Nehemiah Rotich, on the space of putting in more budgetary allocation to support greening our environment. Let me congratulate Governor Adan Khalif from Mandela for the great work you are doing. You saw what, if we can document, maybe Zainab, we are not documenting and we are not talking much more about what we are doing. Mandela planted some 250,000 trees and documented and took it to this Living Green Green Cities Award, and we won an award as Mandela. I don't know whether they understood that Mandela is even in Kenya. That was great. Congratulations. When I did indicate that in my own ministry, I have a target to plant 3.7 million trees a year. You know, the great work that won us an award is 250,000 trees in 7 years. If we all plant a tree and work on the kind of targets, I did indicate I have a target of 3.7 million trees, and every year, and I report to cabinet every month or whenever there is cabinet meeting. And equally in energy, I think I had another crazy number of 5.3 million. And we were kind of achieving, working very hard. At about 50 shillings per tree to plant or to grow the tree, because we saw what the governor was doing. He is paying the ladies to water the trees. We saw the trees being tendered for 4, 5, 6 years. Even if you costed that tree to maintain at 100 shillings, for 3.7 million trees or for 15 billion trees we are planting as a country, that will be a budget of 1.5 trillion Kenya shillings in the 10 years. And we are making budgetary provision as ministries in areas we can save in social programs that we run to ensure that we achieve those targets. So when I work with my Kura, with my Kera, when we do the Kenya National Road networks, we are now including tree planting programs along the corridors. And we need to report on those, not just for the sake of documenting on paper. We need to ensure the survival rate of the trees is good enough so that we can achieve our target. So there is, without saying or seeing a line budget on sustainability, tree planting, or all the things that we need to do in greening our homes, in the building materials, sustainable building materials, in the way we manage our water ecosystem, I want to assure you, my dear sister Rotich, that there is so much budgetary allocation. In fact, Governor, what that translates for me every month is planting 600,000. I did some computation here. Planting some 600,000 trees every year. If we are committed to achieving the kind of targets that we are talking about, and not just planting, but maintaining those trees like we saw in Governor's clip that won Kenya an award, we can really green this environment together. And so there's going to be some serious budgetary allocation. You may not see in the line budgets directly, but for us to be able to grow those 15 billion trees in 10 years, it is really a tall order, and we all need to work together. In fact, I was telling my assistant that I learned so much in terms of, I did indicate that we are working with CBOs, communities who live around the forest, and so on and so forth, because you cannot sustain as a ministry going out to plant trees. We need to build partnerships with the people who live around those ecosystems to be able to achieve those targets. Going forward, saying up, I think that's a challenge that we need to do. Cycling, that's what I call in my talk non-motorized kind of channels to be friendly to pedestrians walking to work. It's more healthy for cyclists. When I came from China, the lane for the cyclist was in many places wider than the road. And then you can imagine what we can achieve by ensuring that we all came here cycling because there is a lane for cycling. In fact, in some sections there are traffic lights for cyclists because, and then yes, it cuts so much on the energy because China has been very strong on fossil fuels, and you can imagine if you are moving people to work, into work, out of work, to their daily activities on cycling and so on and so forth, or even walking for that matter. So yes, that's a big challenge. We'll incorporate that and ensure that as we have our streets more pedestrian friendly, we're going to also seriously consider and build lanes for cyclists. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There was one last question for Nasra, and then I can release my panel. I think those are...
Harsh climate can bring down the economy in one day, and of course bring down life. So yes, let's work and see what programs Strathmore is a fairly renewable energy. They have got a number of solar panels. You are already feeding into the grid. I think you need to talk to Navi somewhere there to see how we can work together to ensure that we are able to, it was Kauai. Strathmore is already generated so much solar energy and feeding to the grid on the program of net metering, but I think for them it is more of a feed-in tariff. So thank you very much, and it was a great being here. We do take this business of sustainability and climate change very seriously, and I'm happy to be part of this great audience. Thank you very much.